Fire for your mind. Kosherclinician. Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male. Fire for your mind. Kosherclinician.
Pipeline is crazy. The Hold of Jesus pipeline is crazy. And where else are you going to go? Come to Jesus. If you tried everything, if you've had every sexual partner and you're still not satisfied, come to Jesus. And don't let no one shame you from coming to the feet of the Father for him to redeem you and to restore you and to make you brand new. Your holiness can be deleted by the blood. Okay? By the blood. There's nothing that the blood won't cover. The blood has you covered. But also, go and sin no more. Don't let anybody make you feel bad about wanting to change. I've seen a lot of talk on this app about the Hold of Jesus pipeline and, oh, that Hold of Jesus pipeline is crazy. But at the end of the day, Jesus loved hoes. And hoes love Jesus. I used to be one. I love the Lord. I love the Lord because of the things that he's done for me. I feel like you got to suffer a little bit to really understand what God can do for you. You know, and for somebody who used to formerly be out in the streets, don't let anybody make you feel bad for changing. You reserve the right to change. And yeah, I just, honestly, I'm trying to make it sound all good and Christian and clean. I just think it's ridiculous. Don't anybody want to be sexy red forever. You don't want to be out in the streets forever. You don't want guys to be using you for sex forever and being okay with casual sex because it's cool. Like, you are allowed to change. If you're a hoe and you don't want to be a hoe anymore, that's great news. Jesus is waiting for you with his...
I'm not your typical first lady. This first lady fight. And if I catch you in the street, I warned you. I warned you. I'm a Brooklyn chick. That ain't never changed. I'm just an anointed Brooklyn chick. And I'm coming for that ass.
Come on out to Laughs for Lupus Comedy Night, May 20th in Riviera Beach, Florida.
A fan of women at all, or like also like SpongeBob or Harry Potter, and I was like, nah, this, I can't do this.
Not for me.
I was like, I'm out, guys, I can't do it, and I just became more spiritual.
I mean, you're literally, I mean, you have a song that says God is a woman. Like, obviously there's a statement there.
It's about women and female energy, like feminine energy, being responsible for the whole creation of the universe.
The whole creation of the universe.
It's within.
You saw Cynthia Erivo, the Wicked actress, played Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl just this past weekend. You are an ex officio member of the Kennedy Center. My question is, would you ever put that show with Cynthia Erivo at the Kennedy Center?
I mean, obviously, look, that stuff's done to be provocative and to insinuate, but I think for people of faith, none of this should be new.
Yeah.
It's been true from the beginning, and Christianity's been mocked, Christianity's been attacked from its very inception.
One of the things that I loved about the movie was that it really challenges the traditional things that you think about when you think about God, and Jesus, and spirituality, especially when it comes to the diversity of the cast. So what was it like playing God in the form of, you know, an African-American woman?
You're saying that you're...
I am.
The I am.
I am that I am.
In short, that God is as we are because we are all a reflection of God's divine image. You hear? That God is gay.
Nowhere else on this earth. My friend, think about this for a moment. It was a woman that God chose to bring his son into this world. You said biologically it was necessary. I understand that for the incarnation, but it was still the seed of the woman. Genesis chapter number 3 and verse number 15. It was the virgin daughter of Zion.
Naming us.
Greetings. This is another topic of the Kosher Clinician that might be sensitive to some viewers.
If you are sensitive to the topic at hand or the title provided in the show, please proceed with caution. You have been warned. Viewer discretion is advised.
A lot of what's coming out of the pulpits in America today is nothing in the world more than goddess worship.
I remember about 6 years ago, the first time.
Fire! Kosherclinician.
If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Absent fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women, clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters, acting like vultures. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosherclinician. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosherclinician. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosherclinician. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosherclinician. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen. Listen.
All right, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you, brothers, for tuning in, and dear sisters for tuning in as well. And we're going to have another comprehensive show today, guys, another comprehensive show, another fire for your mind moment as we talk about the dirty little secret that they don't want you to know. We're living in some very weird times, guys. We're living in perilous times. We're living in dangerous times. The time to test the souls of men. The times where up is down and down is up. The times when people don't know what direction to go to. And also the time where the church is in a crisis. And the crisis that's been accosted by the church is a lack of masculine authority and a lack of masculine leadership. And listen, we understand and know that there are some great women that have been called by God to be part of, in the Greek, it's called the ecclesia. We understand that. But something traumatic and something very diabolical is happening now, and it's the effeminization of the church. Not only the effeminization of the church, many times clergy members won't talk about the roles of women, how women should respond, how women should act. And Paul Edom talked about that, and I'm going to be reviewing some of his video at some point as we talk about this very exigent matter. You guys know and I understand that the church rate for men has precipitously declined. Men are not going to church anymore because they don't see the benefit. Men are drawn to masculine structure and order and accountability. And when men can be themselves, men can be authentic and be themselves. But what's permeating the church, guys, now is a feminine spirit. It's a very strong spirit. And that spirit is very dangerous. It's tied into the Jezebel spirit, the same spirit that can be genderless. But I'm going to show you guys what's going on. We're going to start from the top, and then we're going to review some of what Paul Edom talked about. But we're going to talk about the spirit that's in the church now. And also we're going to talk about the feminine spirit is tied to the divine goddess or the divine feminine. And many times because many churches or some churches are motivated by money, they won't tell the truth. They won't tell the truth. And because they won't tell the truth, it's led to a mental health crisis for a lot of men. And it's consistent with the terminology, it's consistent with the phraseology. When men fail to lead, the children rebel and the women take over. When men fail to lead, the children rebel and the women take over.
When men fail to lead, the children rebel and the women take over.
And so, guys, I don't know if you guys knew about what is happening across the land, but there's something called teen takeover. It's called teen takeover. We had it here in the Tar Heel State in RDU. Somebody got shot off Briar Creek. And also somebody got shot down on Glenwood Avenue. And that happens because there's no structure anymore. There's no structure, there's no order, there's no discipline. Because in the kingdom, there's a hierarchy of God, Christ, man, woman, and children. But because men have not taken their rightful place, they won't say anything. It's led not only to a spiritual crisis, it's led to a mental health crisis. And I'm going to say it again. It has led to a mental health crisis. And that mental health crisis is called emasculation. And let me show you guys what I'm talking about. This teen takeover. And it's happening at an all-time high. It's happening even stronger now, to the point, as I talked about on yesterday, there is a partition that think that they can be lawless in their formative years, and there is no accountability. So let's look at this teen takeover real quick here in Chicago. Hold tight.
Is in critical condition here at Stroger Hospital. She was one of 7 people who were shot, 6 of them teenagers, just off of Garfield Park last night. And what neighbors tell us was the second teen takeover there in just over 2 weeks. Now, those who live there shared their photos and their videos.
And see, guys, this teen takeover nonsense is happening because of the lack of fathers. But also it's happening because you got so many weak men, and you got a generation of men that over-identify with women to the point that it's a mental health crisis. Women by nature want to follow masculine men. But some of you men are so weak, you let your woman run over you. You won't stand up and say anything. You attack other masculine men that you don't like. Anytime men try to set a standard, you don't stand on business as a man and join other men to stand in truth, and other women that are part of righteousness. You assail them because you're more afraid of what a woman might say. And I never understood it, parenthetically, how a man could be afraid of a woman. It's weird to me because I'm not afraid of women. There was a content creator that got slick with her mouth and she got this work. So I'm not afraid. I respect everybody, but I'm not afraid of no woman. I can respect her as a human being as long as she respects me, but I'm not afraid. But this teen takeover is endemic of the crisis that we're seeing now in modern times. And it's getting worse. And it's not because I'm nihilistic, guys. I'm not nihilistic. I'm very positive and optimistic, but at the same time, I'm very pragmatic and I'm very realistic at the same time. Do me a favor, guys. Like the video, hype the video. If you guys like what I'm doing, share the stream, donate to the channel, because I'm very busy. It takes a lot of time to put this stuff together. So if you like what I'm doing, donate to the channel, like the video, and let's have a powerful conversation, all right? Because it's going to be a good one, all right?
Of the gathering, it shows what you've come to expect to see. Teenagers flooding the area, drinking in the streets, dancing on people's vehicles, setting off fireworks. And they tell us that this exact same thing happened 2 weeks ago on Juneteenth. And while they tell us that police responded very quickly, residents say that police were simply outnumbered, so much so that police were actually on the scene trying to scatter the crowds when the shooting began. Now, people there tell us, as you can imagine, they are at their wits' end. They just don't know what else to do, who to ask for help. The 28th Ward Alderman, Jason Irving, today denounced the gathering. He called for holding those responsible for organizing it accountable. The alderman also telling us that police detained around a dozen people last night, but at this point, no charges have been filed.
Yeah, these teen takeovers, guys, are endemic of a bigger problem. It's tied to something called lawlessness, and it's tied to something that will be manifest in the last days. Now, we understand that the great teacher Paul was in the last days back in his time, back in his generation. But many believe we're in the last seconds, in the last hour, and the last minutes and seconds of the last days before some cataclysm may happen. This world is out of control, and nothing is normal anymore. And one of the greatest signs that you'll know that we're in trouble is the destruction of the family, and it's all by design. Once again, this happened in RDU. Somebody was shot in RDU, and hopefully I get to it in a minute. And also it happened also downtown. They took the party downtown.
Here's the police department. We need everybody off the sidewalk. Everybody off the sidewalk.
A 17-year-old.
All right, so let me show you guys something. Hold tight. So teen takeover RDU. This is problematic. And the reason why it's so problematic, guys, the reason why it's so problematic, because there are no more masculine men and there's no structure and order. And the church, not all churches, but some churches, or a lot of churches, have become so cantankerous. And they're all across the world, you're seeing teens taking over.
Not only did multiple teenagers end up in the hospital as a result of a large gathering, we know there were many on different...
And guys, this is happening. This is happening because we have a matriarchal culture. It's happening because there's no structure and there's no order. And it's full of rebellion. Once again, when the men fail to lead, I didn't say it, the children rebel and the women take over. And it's going to get deeper as it relates to this pastor, a so-called pastor, called Jamelia Gooden, a custom pastor. We'll get to it in a minute.
Takeovers have some cities on edge.
Serious, violent, and chaotic teen takeover trend.
The latest in a string of violent melees known as teen takeovers.
Another so-called teen takeover.
The trend where teens coordinate on social media to show up at the same place at the same time has turned violent in some places, from Tampa to Chicago, where a teen drove his car into a group of police officers, injuring 5.
Oh my God, he just hit a lot of police officers.
But let's take a step back. How did these takeovers begin, and how are cities dealing with them?
They're really just gatherings of teenagers at a...
How many of you guys that are listening, men or women, but how many of you people that are listening have ever lived in a time when you've seen the world this bad and so much lawlessness? If you've seen it, if you've never seen it this bad, hit 1, because I've never seen it this bad. But we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into breaking down why this is happening, because part of this is part of the lack of structure and the lack of men and the lack of family.
A specific time and location. It seems like they're really just looking for places to have fun and socialize with their peers in the evenings and weekends.
That's Lily Robin, Senior Research Associate at the Urban Institute. As school lets out for the summer, city leaders are concerned the takeover trend could spread.
This is not the time for you to ruin your future by doing something that just doesn't make any sense at all.
Parents, if you don't control your kids, the district will.
While some of these takeovers have indeed turned violent, they aren't all that way.
Evidence doesn't really support the idea that teen takeovers should be characterized as violent events.
Large gatherings do inherently increase the risk of crime. So cities are trying to figure out how to respond, like anticipating crowds and increasing police presence.
Looking at social media to see if an event is planned and then having police be deployed in response to it where the event will be taking place.
But how to respond beyond that has become a political football, even reaching the Oval Office. One solution, enforcing or strengthening youth curfews.
Youth curfew just means that at a certain time of the day, youth are not supposed to be outside.
Some cities already have standing curfews for youth. Depending on the day, Atlanta's is at 11 p.m. or midnight. Chicago's 10 or 11 p.m. Washington, D.C. has gone a step further, creating new curfew zones in takeover hotspots.
All right, so let me show you guys something. I'm going to show you guys, or give you guys an idea of what's going on and why this is the dirty secret they don't want you to know. Because the dirty secret, guys, is power.
I can totally not.
It's all tied into power. Shout out to Alpha and Omega Productions for this clip. I'm clipping this. This is fair use. But it's all tied into power. And before we get into it, guys, I'm gonna run some more clips and give some explanations to why all this is happening. Teen takeovers, lawlessness in the church, and our kids out of control.
A fan of women at all, or like also like SpongeBob or Harry Potter, and I was like, nah, this, I can't do this.
Not for me.
I was like, I'm out, guys, I can't do it.
And I warn you guys, this could be deemed to be blasphemous by some. So viewer discretion is advised.
And I just became more spiritual.
I mean, you're literally, I mean, you have a song that says God is a woman. Like, obviously there's a statement there.
It's about women and female energy, like feminine energy, being responsible for the whole creation of the universe.
The whole creation of the universe.
It's within.
You saw Cynthia Erivo, the Wicked actress, played Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl just this past weekend. You are an ex officio member of the Kennedy Center. My question is, would you ever put that show with Cynthia Erivo at the Kennedy Center?
I mean, obviously, look, that stuff's done to be provocative and to insinuate, but I think for people of faith, none of this should be new.
Yeah.
So all this is blasphemy. It's the aggrandizement of the feminine and the minimization of the masculine, and it's led to chaos. It's led to chaos, and it's led to a lot of confusion.
It's been true from the beginning of Christianity. Christianity's been mocked. Christianity's been attacked from its very inception.
One of the things that I loved about the movie was that it really challenges the traditional things that you think about when you think about God, and Jesus, and spirituality, especially when it comes to the diversity of the cast. So what was it like playing God in the form of, an African-American woman?
You're saying that you're...
I am.
I am.
I am that I am.
In short, that God is...
So for a woman to say I am that I am, that's blasphemy. This was by a book by Oprah in the movie called The Shack. This is blasphemy, high blasphemy. Because throughout history, God has always been a patriarch. But this is a high level of blasphemy. And this is where we're at now, guys. This is where we're at now.
As we are, because we are all a reflection of God's divine image. You hear? That God is gay.
Is the Bible against women? Oh, no, sirree. You will find out that a woman, when she comes under the gospel of Christ and into the church of God, is given liberty that can be found nowhere else on this earth. My friend, think about this for a moment. It was a woman that God chose.
So basically, if you look at it contextually, women are out of place because their divine or their divine purpose is tied to being in unison with their man. And men are not happy anymore because they're not in their purpose and they're not in order. A lot of women are out of order. They don't follow male leadership. They don't follow their fathers. They do what they want to do. And they do it in the name of God. And let me show you this, Jamila, but I'm going to get to finish playing some of this in a minute. Hold tight. Because, listen, the hyena spirit is strong. Hyenas are actually tied to the gynocracy. They don't like lions. They don't like the spirit of Judah. In the hyena kingdom, the women are, the female hyenas are the leaders. And the male hyenas are smaller and weaker. They follow the women's leadership. And they got a phallus, even though it's part of the woman's genitalia, that looks just like a man. And this woman, Jamila Gooden, we're going to get to her in a minute, acts just like that.
To bring his son into this world. You said biologically it was necessary. I understand that for the incarnation. But it was still the seed of the woman. Genesis chapter number 3 and verse number 15. It was the virgin daughter of Zion that God culture in this country is doing goes on there. It goes on there. Behold, a virgin shall to the position of nothing more than a sacred whore. That's all she is. And that's exactly what the culture in this country is doing to womanhood. They're taking motherhood away. Motherhood is no longer the blessed thing that it used to be. There was a time when mothers were honored by their families, and their sons would fight you to the death for their mother, and rightfully so. But that now is passing away because that's not part of the new paradigm. It's not part of the new message. It's not part of the new spirit, because the spirit today, now listen to me, is an androgynous spirit. It is a spirit with the male and the female.
And it's highly androgynous. It's bafflement. I'm gonna get back to it in a minute. It's highly androgynous. It's disorder and it's chaos. But let's look at Jamila Good, and then we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back to this clip.
First lady, this first lady.
Now, this woman calls herself a woman of God, Jamila Gooden, but she got a hyena spirit. See, here's the problem, guys. Paul Eden was talking about something that's powerful. Most people won't say nothing about the kind of women that you see in church now. They won't say nothing about the role of women submitting to male leadership, follow male leadership, and women like the woman prior talking about the Holy Jesus pipeline. It's consistent with what I call scapegoating Jesus. You got a lot of women there that scapegoat Jesus. And when they go to the church, they use Jesus as a scapegoat to justify their bad behaviors.
Right. And if I catch you in the street, I warned you. I warned you. I'm a Brooklyn chick. That'll never change. I'm just an anointed Brooklyn chick, and I'm coming for that ass.
No, you're not. You're not anointed, ma'am. You're in your flesh. Yeah, you're in your flesh. And imagine a so-called woman that says she's a Brooklyn chick, but she's cussing, man. Yeah, you're in your flesh, man. So this is what the scriptures say in the last days. For this sort are they which crept into houses and led captive silly women laden with sin, and led away divers lusts. The churches now is full of silly women, effeminate men, weak pastors, and a bunch of children. And it's devoid of male leadership. It's devoid of structure. It's devoid of men standing up and being men, because it's being animated by a Jezebel spirit. It's a feminine spirit. And that feminine spirit don't want men to say anything. That feminine spirit don't want men to stand on business. And because so many men are compromised by money, and some of them are being having sex with the women in the church, it's led to a very weak church. The world is out of control. The churches are out of control. Our children are out of control. Our environments are out of control. Guys, if you like what I'm doing, share the stream, donate to the channel, please. It takes a lot of time to put this stuff together. So if you like what I'm doing, guys, donate to the channel. Thank you. So Timothy 3:6 said, therefore this such are they which crept and led captive silly women laden with sins and led away with their divers lust. The thing that a lot of women want now in the church is power. They want power. They want positions. They want to be bishops and apostles and pastors. And it's gotten so bad now. I mean, the church I grew up in the Pentecostal church, I do remember there being women pastors, but it was justified. They said she was under male bishop. It was okay, but I don't think that's biblical. And you got a lot of women now that are pastors over men, and it's not order. It's not structure. It's not biblical, because woman was made for man. Man wasn't made for woman. And man was made for the Most High. But for this such they which crept into houses and led captive silly women laden with sins, led with the diverse lusts. And the major lust now is power. And you can always know where there's a weak church, because there are no men. There are no men, there's no structure, and there's no accountability. Women in church have began to emasculate men. The problem with the churches now, you can show women scripture what the book said, and they'll get so high in their feelings, they get mad. Listen, Paul Edom talked about it. It's so bad in the churches now that you can't even talk about issues pertaining to accountability, behavior, whether it be ecclesiastical, whether it be Orthodox, or, well, I don't know about Orthodox, but whether it be Protestant or Catholic, and maybe Orthodox, I don't know. I would argue that some of the Orthodox churches might be a little bit more structured. They don't hold women accountable. There is no accountability. No accountability, no structure. And they emasculate men because they're not in order, or they try to shame men, and they assume just because they have a gift, they think that their gift supersedes their responsibility. So this is what Timothy said what happened in the last days. Timothy 3, 4, and 6, he said that, but know this, that in the last days, perilous times will come. We're in the latter part of the last days. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money. We see that now. A lot of these preachers are lovers of money. That's why they don't preach the truth. They don't amplify the truth. Boastful. They talk about how much they got, how much money they got. I'm the richest man in the world. I'm apostle so-and-so. I'm bishop so-and-so. Just like this woman said a minute ago, she said she's a Brooklyn chick, but she'll sell on that ASS, a so-called pastor, but also a cussing pastor. Blasphemous. I just showed you a minute ago, guys, what's going on now with these women being blasphemous. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. But let me go back to it. Hold tight. This is blasphemy. Hold
are
tight.
mixed, and they both become one. Baphomet.
So that's blasphemy. Baphomet, which is Lucifer, and Satan is blasphemous. It's blasphemy. It is blasphemous because it's androgyny. And androgyny is the antithesis to knowledge, truth, and clarity and light. And that's what Baphomet is.
And Shiva. Shiva representing the Hindu, Baphomet representing the Babylonian occultist, through Aleister Crowley. Both of these gods, or whatever you want to call them, were both male and female, with Shiva dependent upon his application, where, when, whatever he was doing. But Shiva could be both male and female. Here we have male and female united into one God. Here we have the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is that they want to take the manhood away from the men, and they want to turn a woman into some kind of a goddess pervert that does not exist. This is destroying the very foundations of the homes today. Marriages are crumbling because the woman no longer...
Right, that's one of the main reasons, guys. I don't ascribe to the word partner. I don't ascribe to the word partner. I understand that there are some people that use the word and they mean nothing by it. They just say she's my assistant, but your wife is not your partner. She's your wife. She was made for you. And you were made to lead her, love her, and die for her. But see, they say partner now because, see, partner is a calibration or equivocation of power. It's the power is more spread out when you say partner versus saying my wife. They say partner because they don't want you over them. When it comes down to power, they want a partnership. But when it comes down to discipline and structure, when it comes down to accountability, then they want a husband. They flip-flop when it's beneficial. And what you see now is part of the last days because it's blasphemy.
Longer knows her role, and the man no longer knows his role, and we have all of these forces coming.
And this goes right back to what I said a minute ago. The men don't know their role anymore. Your wife is not your partner. When the Most High called Eve, he didn't say, Adam and Eve, where are you? That's a partnership. But he said, Adam, where are you? Because the power was entrusted to Adam, it wasn't entrusted to the woman. And because of this, it's leading or has led to a mental health crisis.
Against the home, and of course the reason for this is because the globalists and the one-worlders want to destroy the very fabric of your society, what holds you together, what makes you what you... The family, the home, is the bedrock of civilization built upon the rock, which is Christ Jesus the Lord. If you can destroy the home, all you've got then is a jungle. That is exactly what they want. And have some reverend get up in front of them.
All right, so let's get back to it. I'm going to be flip-flopping back and forth. But this is what's happening now, guys. This is what's happening now. For men would be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, boastful, and blasphemous. For the love of money is the root of all evil. And that's what you're seeing now. That's what you're seeing now. But you can't tell them nothing. You can't say nothing. Because if you say something, folks will get mad. They say they love God. But you can't say that. They'll get mad. And so here it goes, Timothy 1, 2, and 12. I do not permit a woman to teach or to exercise authority over a man. She is to remain quiet. But now that's all you see in the church is women bishops, women pastors, and weak men sitting back in the corner not saying anything. I will never be part of it. I'm not against women having leadership positions, but they can be deaconess, they can be evangelists, and they can lead women, but they can't lead men. And folks get mad at me, but it's clear in the scripture. I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She's to remain quiet. But they get mad because they want power. They want power. And that's why so many men now don't go to church. That's why they don't go to church. That's why they don't come to church. That's why they don't want to be part of the church. Because masculine men understand that the church now is so weak. Women lead, men submit. Men submit to their wives. To their wives, happy wife, happy life. They submit to them. They submit to them instead of being submitted to God. And that's highly problematic. So let me go back to this. Hold tight.
Some kind of a message, and they are worshiping the goddess. And a lot of what's coming out of the pulpits in America today is nothing in the world more than goddess worship. But this generation today has called evil good and good evil. They've turned everything on its head. Everything is redefined today. Everything is different today. None of the old order, none of what we believed, none of what we were has all been thrown out. Everything now.
If you guys feel like we're on the brink of chaos, hit 1. If you feel like we're on the brink of chaos, hit 1. Hit 1.
now has been re-examined and redefined. Amen?
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. K21J. Thank you, sir. But also, if you think the church has been effeminized, also hit 1. If you think the church has become effeminized, also hit 1.
Everything is changing. We're not what we used to be, without question, none at all. Well, I'm going to warn you right now, stay as far away from it as you can.
If you've got high cholesterol, statins are a necessary evil.
Watch it. It makes God the Father into a female goddess. Now you getting it together?
And that's blasphemy. That's part of what will happen in the last days. That is blasphemy. And it's all over where. Listen, when you get a general, the reason why so many women struggle with masculine men now, because men now are so weak. They're very weak. They don't have any masculine constitution. And you got a church now full of nothing but hyenas. It's no lions in the church. It's a bunch of hyenas. And a bunch of weak male hyenas that do what they tell them to do. But it would never be me. It would never be me. That's why these kids are out of control.
It preaches universalism. Now, let me ask you a question. Is the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ a man or a woman? Is he male or female? Every pronoun in that Bible, every time that God is mentioned, from Genesis to Revelation, he is mentioned in the masculine gender.
For God in a sermon.
Or more than goddess worship.
So it's goddess worship. Goddess worship now is in the church, and especially in the black church, because it's highly effeminate now. There is no masculine structure or order anymore. You don't see any men in the church anymore. Not masculine men that tell the truth. And it's a zero-sum game. That's why when I hear people talk about, saving the community, and you can't have a community without strong men. You can't have a community without strong men standing on business, telling the truth, and women working with their men and understanding their role in the relationship. Women now don't understand their role in the relationship. Women now want to be the man in the relationship, so they don't understand their role. And because they don't understand their role, because so many the churches are scared to speak out, Paul Edom talked about that with Pearl Davis, it's led to a mental health crisis. It's led to an identity crisis for a lot of men.
Time. But this generation today, and a lot of what's coming out of the pulpits in America today, is nothing in the world more than goddess worship.
I remember about 6 years ago, the first time I dared
listen to
put a
this.
feminine pronoun for God in a sermon. So pray these words with me, if you would. We say, Our Mother, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Good mother, it's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. Mama God, would you talk to her? Do you need?
They don't call him Father God. They call him Mother God, which is blasphemy. A bunch of weak beta men, which are male hyenas, and silly women led astray with divers lust.
Healing from a mother. Mama ghost will flow. Mama ghost will flow. Of a beautiful mother. I will breathe and know that she's good. She's alive like no other.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, Mother of us all. Amen.
Go ahead and praying with me now, Mother God.
And this is the guy that's at Morehouse causing chaos. This is all heresy. This is all heresy, guys. And it's all chaos and confusion. This is heresy.
Creator God, loving God, holy God.
We give thanks to you, gender-bending God, who is mother and father and still between and beyond all our categories of understanding.
I love the Holy Spirit, so I'm so glad to be here, and I believe that she deserves her own conference. The Holy Spirit is known to be the feminine aspect of the Trinity.
Now, this is blasphemy, guys. This is blasphemy. But this is all part of the culture and the times that we live in.
And so I hope all of the women in the room today feel very elevated by that. I have an icon, actually, that shows the Holy Trinity with the Holy Spirit being depicted as a feminine person.
I am what I am, you say, the great they, the incarnate he and she, the God of trans being, male and female, intersex, non-binary, in your image. Remind us that you are the God of pronouns, so you affirm and you celebrate them.
They've turned everything on its head, has called evil good and good evil. Everything is redefined today. Everything is different today. None of the old order, none of what we believed, none of what we were has all been thrown out. Everything now has been re-examined and redefined. Amen? It preaches universalism. What's that? That means that you're coming up this side of the mountain, you're coming up that side of the mountain, you're coming this way, you're coming that way. It makes a difference which way.
All right, so let's get into what Paul Elam is saying. You guys got enough about what's happening in the last days, but also this woman, Jamila Gooden, which is typical to what you not only see in the black church, but this is not a black church issue. This is a church issue in general. It's a feminine spirit, man. Listen, it ain't getting better. It's getting worse. Because you got a lot of men, they won't say nothing. They scared to say nothing. They weak. They simps. They ain't gonna say nothing. You know, they scared to say something, man. They're not gonna say nothing. Guys, share the stream and donate to the channel, please. Share the stream, please. But let me show you guys something. I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to get to back to what Paul Elam was saying and some of the issues that is in the church. I mean, in the church in general, while a lot of men are frustrated with the church because, like I told you guys before in the past, the traditional conservative woman, a lot of times is worse. She's worse than the liberal woman because she's two-faced. That was the show yesterday. She is two-faced. She's went through the Holy Jesus pipeline, and now she's trying to reclaim her virtue and using Jesus as a shield. But yet you ask her, "Do you believe in submitting and obeying your husband?" They'll get mad.
But anyways, so because I would find that I would go on these shows and they would put out studies, and I would just like find out that they're always misrepresenting the study in some way or another. Like they throw this data in your face. Like for example, there's some stat that they always throw that if you just find a traditional Latin mass girl, that if you get really a devout woman that prays 3 times a day, then you won't get divorced. But I'm like, okay, what if you tell her to pray and she says no? Or what if you start off praying and then you stop?
And shout out to Paul Elam. Shout out to him. Shout out to Paul Elam.
I have a good friend whose wife prayed the rosary, good Catholic girl, and then when she filed for divorce, when the divorce came, she told her lawyer, he made me do all the praying. It was against my will. So it became a matter of using it against him as a coercion in the story. So Pearl, what first drew you into this sort of men's space? Now, I watched a video of yours recently where you talk about your trip out to a PUA boot camp and what that experience is like. For people who haven't seen that, can you give us a little background on that and what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, so I've always loved media. I'd like to say I was a consumer of the Daily Wire content when I was young. I always say I was arguing about abortion when I was like 12 on the playground because I came from a very conservative family. However, I always just felt like something was missing, and they're like, I don't know how to describe it, but I always just felt like they weren't painting the entire picture. Like they would say, oh, the pendulum's going to swing back. Traditionalism's going to come back. And I'm looking outside and I'm thinking, there's whores everywhere.
And it's funny what she's saying, but she's correct. It's not coming back. And it is 304s everywhere. You got a bunch of reconstituted 304s. And I'm not saying that a woman can't get redemption and grace with God, but a lot of these chicks come back with their sordid past, and they try to run game with men. They try to trick men into bad deals and trick men into relationships, and they expect men to feel bad and tell men to marry women. They gave their virtue away to a lot of men. It's not coming back. We're heading towards a one world order. It ain't coming back.
So one of them, so during COVID, I was kind of teaching myself how to edit. I had a little TikTok account, and I was just I don't know, I was just like on YouTube like everyone was during COVID, right? And I stumbled across a pickup artist, which essentially is I don't know, guys that learn how to seduce women. Essentially, they do these different tricks. And honestly, when I was watching the videos, it reminded me of sales. Like, you get a bunch of numbers, you go through the numbers, and so I just thought it was really interesting. So I ended up getting on a flight and going to a pickup artist like conference or boot camp, I guess maybe would be the best way to describe it. And there was one guy teaching the camp, or a few guys teaching, and then there's like 10 guys that are there, and they're basically teaching these guys how to get laid. And that's kind of where I saw the 80-20 rule right in my face, which is that women are going for the same men. Because at this boot camp, one of the instructors took home like 3-4 women in the same weekend. And actively, he's showing me the message.
Yeah, you're right, Quiet Storm. I agree with you 100%, Quiet Storm. You're correct. We got 304s in the pulpit trying to preach the gospel. Yeah, Jasmine Cashmere. The only thing they can relate to the pulpit is from their former lives, or they worship on their knees. And they get dipped. They get dipped in holy water. And they said, "Oh my God, you stupid man! Come on, man, you wild man."
Just has 3 different girlfriends while doing this. So, I mean, if you run those numbers, he's going through like 100 women a year, and it's in front of my face. So I'm thinking, okay, we really are sharing men. They're not making this up. And then, yeah, it was kind of eye-opening because like I didn't realize at the time that only 10, 15, I'm 6 feet. So generally I've dated my height or taller. And I'm thinking, wow, so any guy I date really has been in the top 15% of men for at least that category. So you don't like logically think about this stuff. I'm trying to think of what the other lesson I learned at the boot camp was. Oh, that the seduction stuff does kind of work because they definitely did. There's 1 or 2 guys at the camp that ended up getting laid off of the stuff they taught them. So I was like, I just thought it was interesting. Oh, third thing is that, ladies, monogamy is not in the card for some guys. Like these guys are never going to settle down. I'm telling you.
Give me an estimated percentage of those guys. What percentage of guys do you think are just destined for short-term connections, hookups, that for life?
Oh, I think most guys actually want to be in long-term relationships. Like the majority of men that I meet, I would say. But out of pickup, because I've met a lot of PUAs over the years, I'd say half are cooked. Like they are never half, I think, have the capability for monogamy, but they're always going to struggle with it because they just, like, a lot of these guys put in like 10 years of learning to seduce. Do you know how much time that is for a man? And they've gotten really good at it because, I mean, men are strategic, they're smart, they're intelligent. If they put 10 years into something, most guys are going to be decent at it. So it's always going to be difficult for them to like give that up. That's just my personal experience, but this is in the last, like, I haven't seen how these guys' lives played out yet. It'll be interesting to see how they turn out in like 10, 20, 30 years. Maybe they'll surprise me. I don't know.
So you would say most of the men in the group you witnessed were actually looking for a pair bond situation, not just short-term hookups.
Not the instructors.
No, well, right. I'm talking about the students.
Yeah. I'd say like, yeah, a decent amount. I would say out of the 10-ish that were there, maybe 2 or 3, kind of 20-80, I guess, like 8 wanted long-term and like 20% wanted short-term.
Okay. Yep.
And so, there's an old cliche to say men are in love and women are in business. And I think there's some truth to that. Men are in love, women are in business. And only the top 10 to 20% is getting all the action. Men are in love, women are in business.
At least makes sense. I want to move on and talk about your work a little bit. Is there anything that surprised you about the men who follow your work?
It's always humbling to meet a lot of the men that listen to me because a lot of them are very accomplished. So like, when I'm hearing like a combat veteran is like watching my show, or like somebody that's really intelligent in like engineering or like finance or something, it's just kind of humbling because I'm like, who am I? You guys have had these long careers. You're all so intelligent that sometimes it's like humbling the people that watch. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that entirely. I know that in my coaching practice that almost all of my clients are highly successful men. Their lives just get tangled up in this area. In every other way in life, they're doing amazingly well, very accomplished. They make great money, but it starts falling apart when it comes to their relationships with women.
Yeah,
I wonder why that is.
They're busy working. They don't have time. They don't have time to approach $1 billion.
But it's interesting. They still want to. That still seems to be the overarching.
And here's the thing, guys: men that lead with their wallet, and people that tell men they gotta have a certain amount of woman for a woman to respect him. That's not true. If you're not a masculine man that can stand on business, whether you got money or not, that woman will never respect you. Your money is not going to automatically make a woman respect you. What makes a woman respect you the most is that you're not afraid to walk away. And there's natural attraction, but because women are hypergamous, they always want the best of the best men. So I don't believe in that nonsense that she won't, if you ain't paying all bills, she will, well, be fine. You'll never respect me because I'm not paying all your bills, sweetie.
Bribing these guys. After all these conversations you've had with men, what do you think women most misunderstand about them?
I think women most misunderstands men's desire to be respected, like that they want to be respected over love, because it's just so common for women to like subtly disrespect their husbands. Sometimes I don't think it's malicious. But even like, how many times do women make a decision and it'll affect the couple, but they don't even ask the guy's opinion? And sometimes it's malicious. Sometimes they just don't care. But I would say that's what women misunderstand about men is like, I don't know. I see the joy in men's faces, like the way they light up when they're asked like for their opinion on things, because men really value being respected and like being somebody who you go to for advice or in the decision making. And a lot of women just like skip over that.
Isn't it interesting that men do have this high value put just on being respected, not on being worshipped or idolized so much, but just being respected. And that is the one thing this culture.
And listen, guys, and that's a fair point by Quiet Storm. I don't agree with everything Pearl said. And you shouldn't either. But I don't agree with everything she said. She got some solid points in some areas, and even Paul said that. So I don't have a problem with that. I would love to talk with her though. I do like some of her talking points, or a lot of her talking points in other areas, but I'm sure she don't agree with everything I say as well.
Directly instructs women not to do in relationships. The standard is that you don't have to respect them. And I agree with you. I see a lot of women treat their men with disrespect in a very offhanded way. It's not like they're calculating to be evil, but it's almost though they believe it's natural that this guy wouldn't get their respect or their consultation or ask questions of them. How do you think we got here with that we got this overall social standard that, we trash men all the time. We hear women trashing men all the time, and we see it in their relationships. What's up with that?
Well, I think it starts from a young age because women automatically are going to be higher status than a lot of men. So they're used to talking to men as if they're low status, but it's all fake. So I'll give you an example from when I was in high school. I did sports, right? And I thought I was the athlete of my family because I went to state. I was second in state. I had all these athletic accomplishments. But in all honesty, my brother was a better athlete. But the woman's world is easier than the man's world. So he didn't have all the accolades. He didn't get to go to state. I don't even think he made like the team, but anytime we did a sport like together as a family, he would win. It wouldn't even be close. He would smoke me out of the water. And so women just have all these fake accomplishments in society, and it makes us think we're more important than we are. And so we talk down to men, and it's like when you're used to doing that from the time you're, I don't know, for me, sports started when I was 12. So, from that young of an age, it's not like you're a kid on the volleyball team for me, but it could be the theater, it could be whatever it is, thinking, oh, I'm in a fake league, you think it's real.
Yeah, and we certainly do have this trend for whatever reason that every time a woman ties her shoes on her own without a man's help, we got to get a room full of people to stand up in applause and act like that it's some sort of magnificent feat in life. It seems very infantilizing to me.
Yeah. And even, I'm going to use a lot of athletic examples because that's just kind of my world. Like I play basketball at the rec league, right? And whenever I see a co-ed league, I always size up the competition for men. And if they look any resemblance of athletic, I'm not going to play. But if they're like a little bit older, like fat, but I know even those guys could beat me, right? But I'll see women that are pretty good for women, right? They've played overseas, or like I can tell they have some sort of background. Like hitting on their chest when they make a bucket. And I just keep thinking, you're so stupid. They're taking it easy on you. And you're like getting all up in their face, and literally they could beat you up. But she has no idea. She thinks she's so good because all the men are taking it easy, you know?
That's the world we live in. I want to shift gears one more time and ask you to put yourself in a young man's shoes for just a moment. And knowing what you know, what would your approach be to women in your life if you were a young man?
Like romantically or?
Yeah, romantically, socially, marriage.
I would tell young men not to get married, at least legally. Like if she loves you, she's not.
Now, what a lot of these churches do now is tell men to come back, get married, and marry a lot of these reconstituted women, these 304s. They got a bunch of kids or had a sordid past, and they'll tell you it's in her past and God forgave her. And some of these simp preachers will tell you that. But I do agree with Pearl in this particular instance. Do I believe in marriage? Yes. Do I believe that marriage can be a viable outcome for a man? Yes. But under the current system, I don't believe in it because it's not regulated, it's not fair. I think marriage is beautiful when women are held accountable and men are not punished. But because men are punished and women are not held accountable, and the laws are not favorable for men, because of that premise, then I see why men, or I don't advise men to get married under the current system. Paul Elam got a non-state supported marriage where you can protect your assets and protect all of it. And it don't have anything to do with coming into marriage, being afraid, or it's about being rational and being realistic.
Going to need it, you know. And if she's somebody that's easily influenced by everyone else, then she will. But that says more about her, you know. At least legally, there's no reason to get legally married.
So you don't have a problem with the MGTOW brothers?
Oh no, no. Look at, because here's the thing: like when men aren't women. So when women do things, it can be completely illogical, like make no sense. But men, they're problem solvers. So generally, the path that men take is, I really think that I'm not that religious, but that God gave men this ability to solve problems that women just don't have. And I even like they're more calm, they can solve problems better. I mean, who knows if it's nature or nurture? Who really cares, right? Like, is it?
Yeah, we can argue about it all day. The result's the same.
Yeah. But so, you know, if that's what they want to do, there's probably a logical reason for it. Like so many times they'll try to shame it, call them incels and say all this stuff. And it's like, no, if, you know, men are choosing to go their own way, it's because they have calculated the cost and the reward and they just don't see it. And especially with young men, I think most young men actually want to be with their high school girlfriend or, you know, relationship for life. But it's the women that are going off to college and not choosing to do that. So,
well, they certainly have a lot more opportunity to venture out in college. And I think you may have answered my next question, which is, what do you think is driving so many men to check out of dating and marriage? Because they're walking out in droves these days.
I mean, have you seen Aaron Clary's book
yes.
on what % of women are marriageable?
Yes. Big shout out to Aaron on that.
Yeah, it's just men are looking at the reward, and the reward is a big fat slut whore with a bunch of student loan debt, a possible past abortion, a possible incurable STD, and
green hair, nose ring.
Yeah, that's going to leave after 7 years. You know, like that's their reward for a lifetime of work. They're thinking, why even work to get this? Like, why would I even put in the effort to get a big fat slut whore? So,
some don't like what Pearl is saying. But I don't know if she's talking about herself. I don't know. but it's true.
Well, that's a fair question to ask because you look at a lot of married guys and that's what they ended up with.
Yeah, and they get fat. There's nothing worse. I'll say this to the ladies. There's nothing worse that you can do to a man than get fat. There's a reason these hookers get married. It's because they stayed thin.
So do you think men are walking away because they hate women or because they no longer trust the deal being offered to them?
Do you know what I think it is? Men are, you know, the opposite of hate is actually love.
Right.
It's why so many guys, when they're in the red pill rage phase, oftentimes like fall in love immediately after. It's when men just don't care anymore. That's when women have to be worried because they don't. And I think that's kind of where we're at. They don't hate women.
And I think men are there at that place now. I think a lot of men are indifferent. I think a lot of men are indifferent. A lot of men are indifferent. They're tired of hyenas. They're tired of the weak church. They're tired of no accountability. They're tired of the lack of masculine men in the church. And that's the dirty secret they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that they want power. They don't want you to know that they have a sordid past. and they don't want you to know that you are on to their shenanigans. Right. It's indifference. Yes, sir, Quiet Storm. Guys, share this stream, hit the like button, and donate to the channel, please. But yeah, I agree with that, Quiet Storm.
Because they'd have to care to hate women. They're just indifferent.
And that is growing by leaps and bounds. It is. The indifference is off the scale these days. And I mean, for what it's worth, I think it's justified. The quality of women. And look, I'm going to be honest about this across the board. The quality of men sucks too. I think you found that out going to visit churches. Has your work, go ahead.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Do you think women were better when you were young? Because there's this idea that women were better back in the day. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I think men and women liked each other a lot more when I was young. There wasn't all this animus between the sexes. I mean, there's always that natural friction, like between men and women. I think that's always been there, but it wasn't this hatred that you see today. When women rejected you back in that day, they would let you down lightly and show some courtesy and some sensitivity toward a guy's feelings. Now, these guys will get a 4 or a 5 that rejects them when the guys
shout to my man and shout to the international
basically shame and try to humiliate them as much as they can in the process. There's a big difference between what I grew up with.
Shout out to the International Quiet Storm, as he's the #1 sponsor of the stream. Shout out to the International Quiet Storm for that $10 cash app. Guys, don't let him be the only one, as the International Quiet Storm is the #1 sponsor of the stream for that $10 cash app. Thank you, Quiet Storm, as we continue to break this conversation down. Thank you, sir.
It's the money.
And what I'm seeing now.
Yeah, that was actually one of the observations I forgot to say earlier at the boot camp, was I couldn't believe how fat of women were rejecting these normal guys. I was like, you're fat. You can't be demanding this. You should be grateful he asked.
That should be a required sort of induction.
And that's why, guys, I did the show yesterday talking about the Holy Jesus pipeline. Women that were 304s back in the past, or they had kids, or if they were overweight or obese or fat, they were humble. But you got fat chicks now that they better than the average man. You got 304s coming with children asking men to pay all their bills. And you see it manifest a lot, guys, in the church, especially in the black church. But it's not just in the black church, it's in white churches too. It's in the church in general. Because there are not enough masculine men standing on business and telling the truth. There was a time women that had sordid passes, they were humble. They were because they understood that there was shame associated with their past. But there's no shame now, it's entitlement. And that is the dirty secret. The woman Jamila Gooden. I'm sure she had a sordid past. Problems ran through back in the day and ended up marrying a simp. I don't like being around weak men. Just like the woman talking about the Holy Jesus pipeline. She called her church, her channel, the Ratchet Christian. So men are becoming indifferent. They don't care.
Indoctrination on every dating app that you have. Do you understand that if you're a 4, you're not allowed to reject 8s and 9s? But I digress. Has your work taught you anything about women that you didn't fully understand before you started doing it?
Okay, I was, as embarrassing as it kind of is now, I was in the, all right, I'm trying to phrase this in the best way. I used to think that not all women were like that. And there are exceptions, but all women have the same tendencies regardless of background. Again, coming from a conservative background, I actually did think that if a woman was more religious, you'd have a better shot. Because it kind of made sense to me on paper. But it wasn't until some of the worst horror stories I ever saw were from very religious women that it kind of shattered the worldview. And I was just like, wow, you can have a woman, like I would meet women with on paper perfect backgrounds, homeschooled, traditional Latin mass, that just would up and leave their families at 30 to go party. How could you have predicted that? So I think there's some humility in saying that all women do have a certain level of negative tendencies, and it's just your job as a woman to control it. So
do you think that's something, and again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on the nature versus nurture thing. Is that something you think is born into women, or that they pick up culturally as they go through their developmental years?
I think the person that, as an interviewer, I don't actually think I should be the one to answer that question, because I haven't spent enough time with kids through their developmental years. Maybe when I become a parent, I'll see. But it'd be interesting to ask either a nanny, a daycare worker, or a teacher, or a parent what they thought, because I don't really know. There's a good case for both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And I don't pretend to have the answer either. I do believe a lot of this is cultural. You can just, I don't even need to talk to children. I can look at what the media tells them and what the world around them tells them about men and women and believe that they pick it up that way. But I can't rule out anything genetic in this either.
Yeah, I think there's some limitation on women's problem-solving abilities. Like, I think there's some limitation that's genetic. And like, I think women, because I'll see my dog. Like, I mean, have you ever had a male and a female dog? Even the female dogs are bitchier.
I have 2 males and a female, and you can tell which sex is which without looking at their genitals. I can promise you.
I think the arrogance, though, that's societal. I think that's societal because you don't see young, like, not that I've never had a child myself, so I'm not saying I'm an expert, but the young kids I do know, if they're girls, they're not arrogant, you know? So I think that's societal. I think that kind of comes when they're like teens.
Speaking of the arrogance, why do you think so many women resist accountability in conversations about dating and marriage?
Oh, because no one's ever been honest with them. So, I mean, because as a woman, most women have simp fathers that just tell them they deserve the world and that they're princesses. They do not tell them that they're spoiled brats and that you need to change and become useful to a guy. You know, be productive and be kind and be a nice person. They just say that, oh, men only want sex, you know, which is just not true at all, by the way. I think women use men for sex more than men use women for sex.
That may well be true.
Yeah.
Hard to say, but I do know that, you know, with all the men I've worked with over the years, 90% of them plus were relationship oriented, and they wanted peaceful, respectful relationship with a woman and had been beating their heads against the walls forever, trying to make that happen and failing.
You know what? I was talking to someone about this because they said, no, men like variety. And I said, no, they said, do you want to eat the same thing every day? And I said, men literally eat the same thing every day. Like most men I know literally eat the exact same thing every day. Men are creatures of habit and routine.
Guilty.
Yeah. Like, if anything, I think men maybe would want a second wife, but I don't know. I think like maybe men would want a second wife, some of them, but I just don't think.
You mean a wife that does the stuff that the first one won't?
Yeah. Like I think most men, like they don't really want to just like hook up with a girl and toss her unless they're like some of these PUAs that have just been doing it forever, you know?
Well, yeah, and we do sort of cross into some area of sex addiction with that sort of stuff, what have you. But I agree, most men want relationships. Why do you think so many women say they want traditional men while rejecting traditional expectations?
Shout out to my man, St. James Palmer, as he is the #1 sponsor of the stream. Shout out to St. James Palmer, the #1 sponsor of the stream, my homie, all the way from the North State. Shout out to St. James Palmer, as he is the #1 sponsor, #1 sponsor of the stream. Shout out to St. James Palmer.
It's the money.
Well, let me give you all my take on it. I think it is more cultural than anything. But however, it's in a woman's nature, and other cultures they just don't act on it. But I do agree that it's more cultural, because even though a woman can have a dark nature, it could be acculturated to being positive, and then there are safeguards in place that keep a woman from doing things that are antithetical to structure, order, and the family.
For themselves.
But why wouldn't they? They get all the benefits without having to do anything.
And this is a perfect lead-in for this. I want to talk a little bit more about the work you did, which I thought was brilliant. You asked really hard-hitting questions of people in church. They did not like it. They didn't like it at all, and you were really good.
And of course they don't like it. A black man or a man in general can't go in church. Me and Paul, we talked about this. But you can't go in church and talk about issues pertaining to masculinity and holding women accountable. That's the dirty secret they don't want you to know. It's about power. And they want to silence you, and any man or any serious-minded woman as well.
Just referencing scripture when you were talking about it, and they threw you off the property. And I noticed they sent the men out there to do that.
Yeah. And I think it was the fat woman. I think that's who's behind it. They do.
Oh, there was women behind that scene. I promise you.
Yeah. So sorry, what was the question?
Well, one, did you ever get anything that resembled an honest answer to the question, should Christian women obey their husbands?
Yes. Out of some, not most of them, I would say no. Like most of them weren't really honest, but there's one or two that came up.
And think about that. The woman Jamila Gooden, the cussing pastor. Silly women leading astray. Women led to their divers lust. Women being out of control and order. Let me tell you something now. That's why I don't believe in calling a woman your partner. Because a partner is tied to egalitarian. It means we're equal. Men and women are equal, but they're not equal in role and design. They're equal as humans, but they're not equal in their role and their design. And that's the problem that a lot of struggle. That's why they won't say, obey anymore. And Paul Eden was talking about these are some of the issues that he see in church as well.
That said yes with enthusiasm, integrity, and like you could tell they really meant it.
Okay.
I actually interviewed a Nigerian couple today, and it was the most because usually when you ask should women obey your, like what I do for the audience, if you don't know, I go to churches, I bring a sign that says should Christian women obey their husbands. Again, I'm not saying you have to believe this, but if you claim to adopt a Christian worldview, I would argue that's part of it. So today I actually had a Nigerian woman with her husband, and she came up and she's like, yes. And then I'm like, where's the but? Like, there's no but.
You were waiting for it and it didn't come.
And I'm like, so if the pastor and your husband disagree, who are you listening to? And she's like, my husband. And I'm like, that's like the first time in probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 people that I've interviewed that question that it was that simple.
And you can still find that from first generation and second generation Nigerian women. Third generation and the newer generation, maybe not as much. I know a woman that's a Nigerian billionaire, and she said that her money doesn't supersede her submission to her husband. But in the church now, these women don't submit to God, and they don't submit to their husbands. The men submit to them. I know a situation where the men are called, the woman is the pastor, and the man is a first gentleman or some nonsense. Or elder, but the woman is over her husband. I mean, out of order. Totally out of order. And these weak men follow. And they get mad at masculine men like myself that stand on business and say something about
it. Do you think it was an accident that she wasn't white?
Yeah, no. I've actually noticed that white guys are the least red-pilled on women.
And white women are certainly least red-pilled of all, at least in my experience.
Yeah, I agree.
But I also see that my black friends don't exactly have it easy with their women either.
Well, yeah, because if they get soft, they'll get beat. So,
yep.
Yeah, so
it's true.
Yeah, I actually think that's why black guys are a little bit more red-pilled on that, is because they had crazier moms. Like white women crazy and black women crazy are just a little different.
Very different. Yep.
Just like more in your face, where white women, like, they'll destroy you too, but it's just on the back end.
Yeah, they'll slide a knife in your back when nobody's looking and then say, oh, are you bleeding?
Black women are more honest. They bring it up front. You know?
Fair enough.
But
I want to shift gears a little bit here again. I've seen this before in your work. As a matter of fact, I saw it today. You did a short video about how you went from red pill to black pill. And you referred to yourself as a mid, assumingly referring to physical attractiveness. But here's what I want to ask you. By all appearances, you really appear to be
and see, well, Pearlie see what a lot of people see what I see. And I know there's some FBAs don't care for Pearlie. I'm just here to talk about her points of views and her cogency of the matter and her objectivity. I'm sure Pearlie probably won't agree with everything I say, and I'm sure I don't agree 100% with everything she say. But I think she's 100% on where she's taking the black pill. It's a zero-sum game, guys. And it's not getting any better, in my opinion. It's a zero-sum game. It's going to take, Paul Edom said something I've said for years. It got to get worse before it can get better. And it's going to take some cataclysmic to bring it back together. Look at the song Young Miami made, talking about scamming and doing all kinds of nonsense. That's typical in the churches now. No accountability. There was a time when a woman got pregnant in church. She was sent out over a man was doing something. When I was in church, they would set him down. But there's no accountability anymore.
A driven woman with a very solid work ethic and common sense thinking. If we're evaluating women not just on sexual attractiveness, but maybe with a dowry ethos and stable pair bonding in mind, wouldn't that put you much higher than a mid?
Oh, yeah, if we count the dowry and that stuff. That's just not really how the world works.
Well, I don't mean by dowry. I mean a dowry ethic, the expectation that you have material value to bring to a pair bond and responsibility to bring to a pair bond. Wouldn't that put you a good bit higher up on the scale in overall attractiveness?
Yeah, then I could be a 10, right?
Well, I think there are probably men out there that would see it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that idea of bringing a dowry into marriage. I think that's one of the better ideas that you guys have had. Obviously, it's not new, but
No, it's not new, and I don't think even Shah or Peter Wright or myself or any of us are saying that women need to show up with the lump sum. Here's the dowry, from your father or wherever you got it. But the need to show up. Part of the problem that men are dealing with now is that women show up and say, "Well, here I am. I have a vagina.
Yeah,
my job is complete."
Yeah, I totally agree. Women are so lazy. Oh my God, women are. It's bad. There's a laziness epidemic.
Yeah, I don't see that pendulum swinging back anytime soon.
But why would especially young women be hardworking? They have so much power. People just do everything for them. So you got to look at the incentives. There's no incentive to work hard.
And I think that's more of that common sense thinking, because what I hear and what you're saying is that this does go back to men.
Yeah, no, it totally does. I'm to the point in I don't know, black pilled, red pilled, I don't know, but recently it's just I keep asking myself, there's like men that are married, like, why are you allowing your wife to do this?
Yep.
Like, why are you got to walk away? I understand it's tough, but you got to walk away, because otherwise she's just going to make you live with zero self-respect.
And what do you tell guys, because I've seen this a million times, that they will make excuses for not walking away. Well, or for even having boundaries. If I say no to her, it'll just get worse. That sort of mentality of powerlessness pervades men these days. And it's something that most of them don't appear to be capable of walking out of.
Well, then you're going to be enslaved to her poor decisions and bitchiness for a lifetime. And if you want to be tortured, that's on you. Good luck. Some guys will never learn. Some have to learn the hard way.
I'm going to give an amen to that one. There are no victims, only volunteers. And until men start accepting that, they're going to continue to live with misery unless they get very, very lucky in who they choose.
Yeah.
What motivated you to pick on the Catholic Church and asking them about the obedience question?
I'll tell you what, I didn't just pick on the Catholic.
And so once again, this issue on obedience, it's not just you can't say nothing in the Catholic Church, you can't say nothing in the Protestant, and I don't know about the Orthodox. Somebody said in the Orthodox they don't worship the pastor. I mean, they don't listen to the husband, they listen to the pastor, but I don't know. But we do know in the Protestant church is screwed up. Because they definitely don't listen to their husbands in some of these churches. They put the pastor above their husbands.
I picked on. But do you know what? I was really tired of going on these shows. And there's a circle of gaslighting they do. They say, not all women are like that. My church is special. Then I go to their church. And then they say, well, you interviewed the wrong women from my church. It's like, dude, or you're not allowed to stand with a sign outside my church. Why would you go to a place of worship? You didn't interview in the right way. I just wanted to prove that the women are the same and that I don't like being lied to. So I went to the churches. I'm open to being proven wrong. So if I go out and all your women say, yes, we obey. But I think it's disgusting that these churches are lying about God. Like, they're lying about what's in the Bible, because there's people that actually believe in the Bible, and it's your job as the preacher or the priest or whatever, to tell the congregation what's in the Bible. And they don't talk about any of the verses that have anything to do with female behavior. So
that's true.
I really think that's disgusting. I witnessed it a lot growing up. I remember we had chastity speakers, and the girl was always run through. The guy was always a virgin, and they would say, be like us. And I'd never heard about obedience. And I went to Catholic school for, 20 years. So how did I go through 20 years of Catholic school and you never once talked about the verses on obedience? And I know women that actually do believe in being obedient to their husbands, and they do believe in this stuff. And I think it's disgusting when people LARP the religion. That's one. And two, I think it's disgusting when you take money from people that really have a true faith and you're lying to them by not being honest about what's in the scripture. So, yeah.
Okay, so this wasn't, you're just a rebellion against the Catholic Church from your Catholic upbringing. You're applying this across the board, because I see it in Protestant churches all the time. They will not talk about scripture and obedience and about women's behavior at all. What they'll do is get up in the pulpit and bash men and tell them they need to step up, man up, do a better job, caution them against porn, caution them against even thinking thoughts about other women, and telling them that they better just suck it up and provide.
And it's crazy because half those women are fat. So it's like, obviously he's watching porn because you're fat. Like, what's he going to do? No, I went to, the first church I went to was non-denominational. Then I did Catholic. Then I did Orthodox. I tried to do Mormon this Sunday, but we got rained out. So this next upcoming.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, it's coming.
Because I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think that's probably the most gynocentric religion that there is out there.
Oh, really? I don't know a ton about it. Why do you think that is?
Well, I know that in Utah, where the Mormons dominate, fathers have no rights whatsoever. Okay. And they get absolutely crushed in the Mormon church by their wives. I've had many stories. I can't go into clients.
Think about that. Think about, even men now. Let me tell you guys something I know. A lot of men, when they get houses, they don't get the house based on the house that they want, based on their budget. But they get the house that the woman wants. And many times the women just bypass the man's needs and what the man expects. They just bypass the man. They get the house that the woman wants because she's running the program. She's running the program. No, I agree with you, New York City Black 11. Are you submissive? If they push back, always walk away. Yep. I agree with you. That's a good way to determine, man. Or you can try to re-clarify and yeah, but that's a good way to rule them out.
Stories, but I've had stories from Mormon men saying they were socially and psychologically crucified in the Mormon church because she wasn't happy.
Wow.
With things. And so I'll be very interested to see what the Mormons have to say because they are, as far as I can tell, very, very gynocentric.
Yeah. And it's just really, my series is all of these commentators, put your money where your mouth is. If your church really is different, then your congregation will be different. And if their answers are the same, then maybe you should talk to your like, don't get mad at me, get mad at your church for not teaching better. Because if like, I take guitar lessons, my teacher would have no problem with you going up to any of his students and asking them about music theory. And if they didn't know the answer, he would just say, oh, shoot, let's go over that again. They're not going to get angry. They're not going to get mad. Usually when people are mad, they're hiding something. So.
And sometimes even when they're honest, I saw a pastor once that preached a lot about women not teaching in the church, women not having a voice in the church, and that they should obey their husbands. And then I saw his wife henpeck him all the way through the parking lot to their car.
Right.
So it is, there's a lot of hidden stuff there too. What kind of reactions did you expect from churchgoers? And were there any reactions that actually surprised you?
The Catholics did surprise me. I won't lie. I did not. So if you didn't see it, when I went to the Catholic church, a bunch of the men actually got in front of the sign and tried to hide it so churchgoers couldn't see the sign. And they started talking to me like, they're like, oh, we don't want people.
And I'm seeing this, and it's funny Pearl said that. I do agree with her on that. The men tend to be virgins and have low body counts, and the women be reconstituted saints. And they try to force men or shame men or say, Hosea married a whore. And they try to shame men into taking 304s or saying it's her past and everybody got a past, not understanding it's a consequence. And I feel sorry for men that made good choices. They were disciplined. They wanted a wife to make the same choices that they made, and they didn't get it. Because they get the worst ones. They don't, as they get sluted out, used up, they come running to Jesus, and a lot of times they're not genuine. I'm not saying all of them, but they come running to Jesus, using Jesus as a scapegoat, and then they want a so-called good woman, a good man to come and put a ring on their finger.
Well, to see that, and I'm like, you don't want people to see a sign about OB? Don't you guys teach this here? And they're like, what about the kids? I'm like, what?
So they're basically trying to hide scripture from their congregation. Not exactly a glowing testament to what they're doing.
Yeah. But when I was there, it was kind of funny because one of the most I always say Africans love to talk. There was an African guy that ran from the other side of the parking lot to answer my question because he was so excited. and he gave a really good answer. He talked about how it's a gift from God. Like he said something along the lines of like men are the crown of the family and it's a gift from God. And I love it when someone talks, and even if I disagree, right? I love it when they have conviction in their voice and they just like mean what they're saying. So that was it was one of my favorite interviews I got on this question, and also one of the craziest things that happened. They got the police involved too. They tried to kick me off, but legally you cannot kick me off of public property. So
right.
Yeah. So
yeah, that little pesky constitutional rights thing seemed to upset them a little bit. Very Christian of them.
Yeah, I know.
When you asked whether women should obey their husbands, did people seem uncomfortable with the word obey, with the doctrine, or with the social consequences of saying yes?
The social consequences of saying yes. I think a lot of men in particular are afraid of their wives hearing them say that.
I probably didn't even need to ask that question. I think we all know the answer. Even if they believe it, they know they can't say it or they'll get in trouble. Yeah. And that is a crying shame. Do you think many Christians today still believe?
Think about a man. think about a man being afraid of getting in trouble. You got men that go sleep on the couch. They say they're in the doghouse. I wish a woman would try to put me in the doghouse. I'll bust that doghouse down. I'm not going to be in no house or in a relationship when I'm afraid of a woman. I wish she would try that. And she tell me, go sleep on the couch. I'm going to tell her, I'm going to sleep on my bed. If you want to get your butt up, you can go get your butt up and you can go sleep on the couch. No woman going to tell me what to do in my own house. And then she started getting sassy and dangerous. I'm going to eventually get rid of her.
In biblical marriage, or do they believe in the modern egalitarian message of marriage with religious branding?
Yeah, the modern egalitarian marriage with the religious branding. Women are all about status, so we really like looking cool. So women like to get married to look cool. They like to wear Jesus crosses to look cool. They go to church to be a part of a social club and make friends. I don't think women really care about scripture, because if we did, we'd all be virgins on our wedding nights, and none of us are. I don't think we care that much. Yeah.
And the follow-up to that is, do you think that they really believe in an egalitarian message, or what they practice is a marriage where the woman is in charge?
Well, that's what an egalitarian marriage is, a marriage where they believe in a partnership. Because see, a partnership is the zeitgeist of this day and age, because partner meant, listen, I promise you this, guys. I'm gonna prove a point to you. Any woman that call her husband a partner, I promise you she won't say, I submit and obey my husband. I'm gonna write this down. Any woman that call her husband a partner, I promise you she won't say that I obey and submit to my husband. I promise you she won't. Because partnership was used as a buffer to minimize submission and obedience to their husbands. And it's highly egalitarian. But they want traditional benefits while remaining liberal and modern. Partner when it comes down to power, husband when it comes down to responsibility and the things they don't want to do.
The woman's in charge. I think most men are enslaved to women's poor decisions. And I don't know, so many men just go through this cycle of constantly like telling the woman not to do something or giving her advice on something, her not listening, and then them having to come in and solve the problem for them.
After it blows up.
After it blows up, and then having to do the same thing again. In particular, spending.
Yeah, student loan comes to mind.
Yeah. I think a lot of men wish they could cut off their woman's credit card, but that's illegal. So.
Yes, and I think there is a number of women that seek marriage when the bills come due.
Correct. Yeah.
They partied through college, been run through, had their good time, and then all of a sudden realities of life set in, and that government debt is sitting there, and they think, oh, I need a nice stable man. I
know someone with $200,000 in debt that did just that.
Oh my! And for what? Liberal arts degrees?
And Paul Edom is right. Dave Sip Ramsey told the man. Dave Sip Ramsey said that if you don't pay for a woman's tuition or pay for her debts, even though David Ramsey consistently tell folks not to be a slave to somebody else's debt or never co-sign, but Dave Sip Ramsey, because he's weak and he submits to his wife, tells men, and I like Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is smart when it comes down to money, but when it comes down to relationship and godliness, he don't know what he's talking about. You don't ever let a man tell you that you should pay for a woman's debt that she got in college. And imagine you paying for a woman's debt. And the men that banged her out in college, all the men she had fun with and laid on her back with in college, they got her body for free, they got her mouth, they got all her time for free, and you being the fool that you are, talking about paying her debt off. That's a sucker move, man. You're paying full price for something that's used. You're paying the student loan debt and all of that. Many of the men in churches now are cucks now. At this point, it's a rock and a hard place for men. Church or booty warrior, yeah.
No, she had a real degree. It was engineering.
Okay.
But she got, I don't know, I heard the second one was a different type of engineering, but she went and got her master's in it, and that's kind of where she was cooked. Yeah.
Yep.
I would have just, and she went to private school, so, you know.
What did those church interviews teach you about conservative women?
It's actually worse than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worse than I thought. Yeah.
I told you guys that the conservative woman, many times they're two-faced. The show I did yesterday called Two-Faced. Because sometimes, not all, but many times, the ones that call themselves true traditional God-fearing women, they are the worst. They just were the masters of conservatism, but they're really no different than the liberal woman. They don't want to obey their husbands. They don't believe in honoring and obeying their husband and following and being submissive.
Yeah, because I was going and expecting women to at least lie a little bit and say they obeyed their husbands, even though they probably don't. But the majority of women, like their first answer is, well, I don't know about obey. And I'm thinking, okay, if that's your first answer, then you don't even care about like looking Christian anymore. That's how
and your answer says you do know about obey and you've rejected it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know what? I can tell women are full of it about obedience when they speak too highly of it, like submission. Because it's like working out, right? Working out isn't fun. And so if you just say, oh, it's so much fun, it's like, no, working out is hard.
True. That's true.
But it's rewarding in the long run. Obeying and submission, when I talk to women that have actually done it, they actually can talk in detail about their struggle with it. Because it's not fun when you think you're right and you just have to listen to what he says. But in the long run, you're going to have more money. Your marriage is probably going to be better. You're probably going to make better decisions in the long run. Your life is going to be better all around. But in the moment, it's not like, you know, like let's say two parents, the wife wants to send this kid to school A and the guy wants to send the kid to school B. It's not like in that moment when she wants to send the kid to school A that she's excited to like send the kid to a different school. But in the long run, he's probably right. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. Same question about conservative men. What did the interviews show you about them?
They're so bad. Oh, you know what? I was already kind of, after my interview with your friend Caesar, what's his name? I was already black-pilled on conservative women, so that was done for me. But just the level of cowardice, like, you know, how can you say you fear God when you fear my sign?
Right.
Like, you clearly have no fear of God because you're afraid of a volleyball player with a microphone and an obey sign. So it just seems like the churches today don't teach courage because, you know, it takes a level of courage in this society to say what you think, regardless of the consequences. But if you fear God, you would. So you clearly, don't. So you fear women, you don't fear God.
I agree with her. She's right.
And,
She's 100%
you know, I've seen this
correct.
play out in Protestant churches too a lot.
And I tell men all the time in my private practice, you fear a woman more than you fear God, which is bizarre to me. The scripture said that the fear of man brings a snare. And then the scripture said, don't fear him that's able to hurt the body, but fear him that's able to cast both soul and body in the hell. But yet you let your woman lead you. That would never be me. I wish a woman would ever try that with me. That would never be me. And she ever closed them legs, I'm going to close my wallet. And she don't get the silent treatment until I get rid of her. You got a lot of weak, simp men that talk big and social media, but their wives control them, lead them, and they're weak and they're very highly influenced by their wives.
Especially with men that are going through a troubled marriage or going through a divorce, and watching the men in these churches, one, circle up around the woman to defend her and blame the guy, just to be an extension of the woman blaming the guy, but actually telling the guy, you sort of need to bend over and take this because that's what Jesus wants you to do. And I've seen that happen dozens of times in my life and talk to men that it's happened to. I think there are Christian church-going men, and again, I'll qualify, it's not all of them, but the level of cowardice in men in the church is just stunning to me. They will not speak the truth. They will run off anybody who does. They'll chase a woman out of the churchyard with a sign that's actually referencing scripture because they don't want the women to be offended by it.
Yes, it's very true.
It blows my mind.
Yeah, it's worse than I thought. And the level of cope. When I would do these interviews, some of the answers were clearly not answers because they, like if a woman says, I obey him, but only when he follows God, that means that she doesn't obey him.
Right.
And so many religious people I knew would look at this and say, oh, well, she's saying that she obeys him. And I'm like, no, that's not what she's saying. You know, so
a true woman follows her husband as long as he's not telling her to do something sinful. But a true woman is going to obey her husband whether or not he follow God or not. I'm not talking about doing something sinful, like telling her to do something against the law is sinful. But let's say he's not a believer. The scripture said that the sanctified wife sanctifies the husband. So by her conduct and her prayers, it's a witness that will eventually win the husband over to God. But you can't tell these women that, because these women, they don't serve Jesus, they serve their flesh.
And there's nothing, you know, I'm certainly not a scriptural expert, but I don't believe, as far as I've read, that there's any scripture that says you obey him if he does this or that. It's pretty cut and dried that they're supposed to obey.
Yeah.
Okay.
They always, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
They always give the murder example. You know, they always say, oh, well, what if he has you kill someone? I'm like, well, wouldn't it be kind of romantic if you went anyway, like Bonnie and Clyde?
And of course, leave it to them to come up with a preposterous example of, yes, because so many husbands are telling their wives to go kill people for them that we need to use that as an example.
Like, if you get to heaven, just say, God, you said to listen, all right? I was doing what you said.
I want all you men out there that are telling your wives to put on suicide vests and walk into the mall to stop doing that, because, good Lord. Anyway, are churches telling men to lead, or they're mostly telling men to serve women?
Oh, to serve women. Because and serve the church, let's be honest. Because, you know, even when I went to the Orthodox church, ultimately they want the woman to obey the pastor or the priest or the deacon. They don't want the woman to obey the husband. So you're not teaching leadership if you're outsourcing it to the pastor.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a lot of serve the church too. And the church is basically dictated by women because pastors and ministers have become people that hear what the women want and then they parrot that from the pulpit.
Yep.
It's just so strong. I mean, do you want to make $15 or $85? When women make 85% of consumer buying decisions, honestly, someone called into my show and said the only church he's seen work are ones that meet at each other's houses and there's no overhead costs. I can't speak to that. I've never gone to one of those, but that at least kind of makes sense to me, you know, because it's like a small group. You don't have to pay anybody. There's a vested interest in your wife being good people and your kids. So kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Do you think conservative men are being sold a bad deal in that all the obligations of traditional masculinity with none of the respect or authority that, I mean, I know how you're going to answer that, but that seems to be, that's my impression of a lot of the tradcons that I hear on social media, promoting marriage, talking about marriage. It's all about men's obligations.
Yep.
Yeah, but a lot of the young conservative men are just, they have such a, you know, I think a lot of them, society has kind of, they've never really had the opportunity to be needed and have gotten so little female validation and attention that they just crave it so hard that they'll sign up for that bad deal. A lot of them are going to. I don't know. The young conservative guys, they're just dying to be being, I don't know why, but it's almost like they're brainwashed. I don't know. If you've talked to some of the young super Christian guys, it's like they just want to marry a hoe so bad. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Well, I think part of it is that they think that's all they can get.
Yeah.
And if you look at the landscape out there, and again, I'm not here to say all women are like this. I found a great woman and I know other people who have. But the preponderance of what's available to young men today is more abysmal than at any time in my nearly 70 years of living. I've never seen anything nearly this bad for young men. Yeah. So I think they're taking what they think they can get.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think has blackpilled me is someo's always going to do it. Don't have a revenge fantasy because the porn star will find a husband. I'm not saying she won't ruin it later. She might, but there might be another taker even after that. It's just there'll always be a taker. I used to say, no way, that girl's never going to find a man. That she would. But color me shocked, you know.
Because unfortunately, men will take what they can get.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that allows 3s and 4s with sordid past and full of tats and piercings and a trashy history can actually still go out and get a decent guy because he's not seeing anything better out there.
Yeah, correct.
Boy, pretty bad for young men these days.
Yeah, totally.
I have to wonder why female pain is treated as a social emergency while male pain is often treated as a personal failure.
That's a great question. I don't know, but that's a really good question because when a guy cries, he's looked at as weak. Or if a woman cries, I mean, everyone says, "Oh, what's wrong? Are you okay? Not get away."
Because the world don't see men as human beings. The world see men as human doings. They don't see them as human beings. They see them as human doings, devoid of feelings, devoid of an identity. They just see men as human doings. Not human beings, but as human doings. They see them as machines. And it's really sad that some men settle for nonsense like that. What man in his right mind? I would never, why would a man be a virgin and wait for his wife and he getting a reconstituted 304 that had all kinds of fun with another man and him being the fool because he wants validation marrying a 304? I would never do nothing like that.
Crazy woman.
I remember Tom Golden coming up with this scenario talking about it, that if you see a young woman in the corner of a restaurant in a booth crying to herself, the waitstaff will come over and check on her and people will look and wonder if she's okay or if they can help. You put a guy in that same exact spot crying and people are like, you need to stay away from that guy. He's weird.
Yeah, no, that's really true.
Well, that's the world we live in. Lucky guys.
Yeah. And men cry too. It's usually for a good reason. We're women, it's stupid reasons. We cry over everything.
Well, no argument coming from here. What do you say to women who complain that men will not approach, commit, marry, or lead anymore?
All right, ladies, it's never been easier. Download Hinge. Even if you're fat, you can Photoshop it. So now you can look thin on the app.
AI to the rescue.
Yeah, you can get 5,000 matches in an hour. You can literally set up a date for every single day this month. no excuses. If you wanted to be in a relationship, you would be. So it's not them not approaching when it, like, think about if men had the power women had to just filter. Like, you can filter by height, you can filter by race, you can filter by job. If you want a more transactional relationship, you can go to a sugar baby website. If you want a certain racial or religious preference, you can go to that dating website. Like, it's never been easier. Okay, they don't approach in person. Just go find Instagram profiles, and then they'll say, "Oh, well, I don't want to meet them online." Well, okay. If anything, I think it's made dating way easier for women.
Obviously, it has, and for men, it's still like they'll take the woman who doesn't ghost after one text, because they have so many choices. The ghosting, I don't know how intentional it is, but it's easy to distract somebody that has 500 choices of who they want to be with.
Yeah, I mean, you can literally DoorDash a man to your door of any like any race, race, Jen. You can go trans if you're into that. You can literally. So yeah.
So I take it there's not a lot of sympathy for women whining about not being able to find men who will do what they want.
Yeah, because they'll say, "Oh, I don't want to be used for my body." It's like, okay, all right, let's say you get pumped and dumped once or twice. I mean, ladies, you can't find one guy that'll stick around. I'm getting pumped and dumped is, now you know your league. He was out of it. Go a little lower next time. Like, you have thousands of matches. There's got to be one that's good enough and that is willing to stay with you.
And I want better.
Yeah.
I want more.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. We actually got to the last question here. It's pretty amazing. I didn't think we'd get through all of them. What is the one truth about men and women that you think people are most afraid to say out loud?
That women are big fat slut whores and ruining society. I actually will say, I think that white men in particular, have built the greatest country in the world, and everyone wants to be a part of it. They make great, whatever country, neighborhood they make, inventions they make. They have built some of the greatest civilizations ever to exist, and women are destroying it. And yes, it is gendered. Yes, it is absolutely women. It's not all women are. It's not the white guys. They're not doing it. It is the women.
I saw a video just a few days ago, just another little short clip of them putting on a drag show for kids. Not a single father in the audience. No, every last one of them were mothers, and were probably single mothers.
Yeah. And white guys, you got to learn to tell your wives no. Please, we're begging you. They're taking your hard-earned money and torturing all of us. I saw a video of it was like a billionaire. I can't remember which one, and his wife. And he was talking about how his wife got him into all the civil rights, like equal rights stuff in the 70s, and how he's been donating to it ever since. And I have a friend who worked for PETA, and he said all the animal rights stuff, they call rich conservative wives to get money.
Sure.
So you guys are at work and you say, "Sure, honey, spend the credit card. You're too busy working." No, a wife is a responsibility, okay? And you are responsible for making sure that she doesn't torture all of us. And if she is, you need to leave. Stop it. We are all suffering. I know you guys are busy working and building civilization. I just have one more ask. Please.
Just take 5 minutes and learn how to say no.
Yeah. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. Take your country back, please. Take your marriage back. Take your country back. And take civilization back. I'm begging you.
And reclaim sanity for the rest of us, because the world has gone insane. And again, I don't make it a point to bash women here. That's not what I want, but I think Pearl's absolutely right. Our corruption of values, the way we're running this world, it has been corrupted with female values.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it's men enabling this. This is why I'm not just picking on women, but men, find your spine.
That's a divine feminine. That's what I talked about earlier. I'm going to end this in a few minutes, guys, but this was a good commentary and a good show. And this is the dirty secret they don't want you to know. Traditional women are not as God-fearing and godly as you think they are.
And please, and figure out what it's for. That's all of our questions. And now we could probably get some comments here. Brian, do we have any comments or questions from the audience?
Indeed, Paul, we have lots of people with things to say. So we are going to go through all of the super chats. All right, starting at the beginning. We got $5 from Evil Corporation Killing USA. Just it's a kind of a long-winded one. Paul, I love your podcast. Bravo, brother. Pearl, you are my favorite ninja-loving modern woman. I'll simp for all 6 feet of you, baby.
Thank you, Evil.
That's all I wanted to hear today.
Stop simping. Okay.
But thanks for the donation.
No, you pay for it. That's fine. We allow simping, but only for money. You have to.
Yeah. I got one from. Hold on a second here. The kosherclinician gave us. $7.77, 777. And they said, obeying one's husband, sorry, this thing keeps resetting, is the highest honor that a woman can give a man, but many don't enforce it in Protestant or Catholic churches. So that was that. Sorry, Paul. This thing is acting up for some reason.
Okay, no problem. I want to shout out to TKC, the kosher clinician. We just did an interview for his channel. It'll be up on mine in a day or so. Thank you, sir. Look forward to talking to you again. Glad you're here with the audience.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. All right, then we got one from GG user, I guess, for $5. And they say, women often talk about their need to feel safe, while men rarely do. What are your thoughts? Do women sometimes use this to avoid accountability?
Well, I think they use it to manipulate protection, additional protection.
All right, so guys, what y'all think about the show real fast? What do y'all think about the spirit of this age? Where do we go from here? And men checking out. What do you guys think about it? I would love to hear you guys' comments. Men who are 6 are getting rejected by wildebeests. Yeah, it's true, T. King, man. Yeah, I've seen it. Men are approachable, women are getting rejected. But what do y'all think about the show overall, guys? And the feminine spirit and the dirty secret they don't want you to know. What are you guys thinking about? And this woman named Jamila Good. I'm about to end this in a minute. What do you guys think about all this?
Come on.
And this woman called the ratchet Christian.
Pipeline is crazy. The Holy Jesus pipeline is crazy. And where else are you going to go? Come to Jesus. If you tried everything, if you've had every sexual partner and you're still not satisfied, come to Jesus. And don't let no one shame you from coming to the feet of the Father for him to redeem you and to restore you and to make you brand new. Your holiness can be deleted by the blood. Okay? By the blood. There's nothing that the blood won't cover. The blood has you covered. But also, go and sin no more.
Don't let anybody make you feel bad about wanting to change. I've seen a lot of talk on this app about the Hoe to Jesus pipeline and, oh, that Hoe to Jesus pipeline is crazy. But at the end of the day, Jesus loved hoes. And hoes love Jesus. I used to be one. I love the Lord. I love the Lord because of the things that he's done for me. I feel like you got to suffer a little bit to really understand what God can do for you. You know, and for somebody who used to formerly be out in the streets, don't let anybody make you feel bad for changing. You reserve the right to change. And yeah, I just honestly, I'm trying to make it sound all good and Christian and clean. I just think it's ridiculous. Don't anybody want to be sexy red forever. You don't want to be out in the streets forever. You don't want guys to be using you for sex forever and being okay with casual sex because it's cool. Like, you are allowed to change. If you're a hoe and you don't want to be a hoe anymore, that's great news. Jesus is waiting for you with his...
I'm not your typical first lady. This first lady fight. And if I catch you in the street, I warned you. I warned you. I'm a Brooklyn chick. That'll never change. I'm just an anointed Brooklyn chick. And I'm coming for that ass.
It is the most Come on out to Laughs for Lupus Comedy Night, May 20th in Riviera Beach, Florida.
So guys, we're gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope it resonated. And unfortunately, guys, this is just a sign of the time. Let me leave you guys on this closing comment. And before we end, a shout out to the International Quiet Storm and St. James Palmer, both with St. James Palmer being the #1 sponsor and the International Quiet Storm being the #2 sponsor. Man, I really appreciate it. The International Quiet Storm said the dating pool is generational and it goes to multiple generations. It will not change. Yeah, man, it will not change in our lifetime. I agree with you 100%, Quiet Storm. It ain't gonna change in our lifetime. It's not. It's gonna take some of these hoes to die off. They're gonna have to die off and be, and like the old folks said, be born again. Not born again, but born again. But they're gonna have to die off. It's gonna take a whole apocalypse for a lot of these women, man. My heart goes out to men in this day and age trying to find a wife. I would never submit myself or tolerate the disrespect that a lot of men are tolerating now. I would never take the level of disrespect. I would never. So once again, shout out to Top Gun being the #2 sponsor, and shout out to the International Quiet Storm as they are the #1 sponsors.
Nothing natural about a 30
As they're the #1 sponsors of the stream.
being drawn physically.
And men, keep your head up, keep your dignity, keep your pride. Know what your worth is.
It would be ideal for
Because let me tell you something. At the end of the day, she has no power but the power that you give her. Go get with a woman that values you, respects you, has your value system, And more or less, guys, get you a non-diagnostic consultation, guys. Get you some help. Get with a woman that respect you, honor you, and value you. And more or less, guys, get with a woman or get you a non-diagnostic consultation, because it's not going to change in our lifetime, and it's okay. So you just got to keep being the best version of yourself and being the best man that you can be. And you just move accordingly. That's all you can do. Because what you're waiting for in this day and age, man, it's trash, man. I feel so sorry for men trying to get solid wives in there. It's a few left, but it's not a lot. And I don't advise no man talking about getting caught up and talking about paying all bills. Not for these typical women there, you'll be a fool to pay all bills. Because you're not getting nothing special. Most are ran through. If they ain't ran through, they're entitled, they're liberal, and they think women are victims and men are predators, and it's just a waste of time, man. So anyway, I'm glad y'all tuned in, man. This was another Sunday, a Church on Monday show, and I'm glad you guys tapped in. Guys, I'll be seeing you guys hopefully again sometime this week. And guys, y'all take care, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. Shout out to Paul Elam. And guys, right now the family is in a black hole. The black hole is now the black hole. Be well. Hit that like button and share this stream if you're not a beta male.
Nigga ass, loser ass nigga.
Your video with comments about
He's a
certain
loser.
other female. Just to let you niggas know, we don't need y'all. We want y'all, but we don't need you.
20 years later.
Our black men, we want all y'all back. Because we love you, we see you, kings. And most importantly, we need you. And most importantly, we need you.
And most importantly, we need you.
You can't
If you a that's for the streets.
You can't delete the ski. You can't delete the ski.
I know a who used to suck dick every month of night. You can't delete your